army now, a blowing reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his uncle's fame. It really brought him down because it couldn't jam. The captain...
Please welcome Maxene Andrews to the show. The McGuire sisters when they burst onto the scene back in the 50s on the Arthur Godfrey show, and now they're making a comeback. Please take a look.
All together now, 1 and 2, join that happy throng. Feel the beat of that rambling, scrambling, my
Please welcome Phyllis McGuire to the show. Syms first worked on Broadway back in 1949 with the great Mae West. Since then, she has made a career out of singing with the best, including Frank Sinatra. Please welcome Sylvia Syms to the show. Yay! Helen O'Connell started her singing career at age 16 when she had to support her mother, brother, and sister. Then she soared to stardom when she began singing with Jimmy Dorsey back in 1939. Please welcome Helen O'Connell to the show. I'm going to ask Phyllis to start. What's the difference between performing now and performing back in the 50s?
It's easier.
Now?
Uh-huh.
Why?
Because you can stop and start, and actually in the 50s when we started recording, you could, what you saw at home, you know, it was really live television. I mean, it was live. And if you fell down on your whatever, that's what you saw in the living room. If you forgot your lyrics, or if you forgot your choreography or whatever, I mean, everything was totally live. And in the recording, I mean, it was a day of pure everything. There were no gimmicks.
Do you want to dump on people today? I'll give you the opportunity. The young people, the groups today, what do you really think in your innermost heart?
I think they're wonderful, but I think that a lot of that, well, I happen to be a Basha fan right now, and she overdubs and records with herself and does all the voices, and of course it's gimmicky, but you have to be very talented
to do it.
To be able to do that.
So you don't have anything bad to say about today's music?
No, as a matter of fact, we're asked that question often, and we work a lot self-contained now, and I have very young ladies, a 28-year-old drummer, and a fabulous bass. He plays stand-up and electrical, and he's about 30. And the piano, the keyboard, and conductor, he's about 28. So we actually think the younger generation is pretty great. We're hiring them.
Somebody said of you and your sisters, you're so far out, you're probably back in.
Sally, what's old is new and what's new is old.
Thank you, Peter Allen. Everything old is new again. Now, 3 sisters, just a very quick mini bio. The 3 sisters were born?
In Ohio. Little town, Middletown, Ohio. And then we later moved to Miamisburg, and our first paying job was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But before we go any further, I want to tell you I'm delighted to meet you.
Thank you.
I'm a fan.
Thank you.
And you're so much prettier.
I'll have to talk to the
You really are. Also, your figure is absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
When you walked out, I mean, you really look smashing.
Thank you.
And I do watch your show, and I feel that we all, Maxene and Helen and Sylvia, that we are truly part of a historical show, because I know that this community is going to miss the show, but it's the last one here, isn't it? And I'm happy to be part of it.
We're going to, by the way, tell you a little something about that as we go along. Did the McGuire sisters have a hard time? Was life rough on them?
No.
Okay. Did the 3 sisters fight?
Occasionally.
About what?
Usually the material, how it should end, the lineup, what should be third.
Why is Maxine Andrews smiling? Did the Andrews sisters fight?
Oh, never.
Okay. But you did occasionally.
Yes, but actually we really got along very, very well. But we had advice from Patty, Maxine, and Laverne when we first came to New York, and they told us that what to do and what not to do, and we followed that advice, so therefore that they really helped us along our way.
That's good. That's very
For 1 East 57th Street. That's right.
Yeah. Phyllis, the men, I said I was going to ask every one of these women who sing the great love songs to talk about a great love or great loves. A woman like you in nightclubs, the glamour, the feather boas. I will remember always the feather boas. Were there a lot more men than most of us get?
Well, how do you mean that?
Well, you see the men sitting in the audience with their tongues hanging out, and you always feel, my goodness, they can have anybody. What a love life she must have had or must have now.
Not in this case.
No?
The best-looking men I see are always there with their wives.
What a bummer.
But, you know, I mean, I must say that I have not been one to... Helen could answer that question.
No
Yes,
fair.
she can.
No
She's had
fair.
more experience.
No, you are not allowed to comment.
But Sally, when she sees those cool and limpid green eyes, honey,
You're not allowed to comment on someone else's love affair. You have to keep to your own, okay? Then I'm going to ask you for one brief sentence on the man you loved the most, or one of, I'll be kind, one of the men you loved the most.
Well, his name was Sam, okay?
Sam Giancano.
Uh-huh.
Now, that must have been, in a way, very painful, because Sam Giancano, for those who were not around reading the tabloids, was considered the big mafia boss, right?
That's right.
Did the sisters ever say, look at what you've done to the act, look at the problems?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I had one of Dorothy's husband called me and said that if this didn't end, that probably the trio would be over. It was really an ultimatum.
What do you do between your sisters and your career and the man you're in love with?
Well, I gave it a lot of thought, and I made promises to myself and to, you know, but it didn't, I couldn't stop seeing someone that I really deeply cared for that much. There was no way.
Did they dump on you because of that?
No, we've never really been three sisters or three, we've never been the type of sisters that really become that involved. If you want to know the truth, my sisters, the husband that called and said this, they have just celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary. And when anyone tries to interfere with the sisters in any way, we start fighting for each other.
Oh, so
and actually they both resented it, because they both said, even Dorothy's first, you know, allegiance was to her husband and her son, and she said, Lowell must have been terribly upset when he did that, because we did not discuss it, and if we had have discussed it, I would have told him not to do that.
You don't always get a chance like this, so I'm going to ask you to do something.
Oh boy.
We have stereotypes.
Yeah.
Mob, mafia. I have a feeling there's something that you may know about those people or that one person that we would never know. Something that you would say, but Sally, if you really knew, tell me something that I don't know. All I read are the bad parts.
Well, I have so much to say about that, and you know, Sally, I've been in the last 25 years in about 30 books, and not one of the writers actually ever called or wrote to ask me if I had any comment about what they were going to write about. So I am in the process now of writing a book and just telling it how it is. You know, Sam Giancana was much more than just supposedly a big mafia whatever. He was involved in the Bay of Pigs, he was involved with CIA, he was involved with government, he was involved with a lot of things, and I'm going to go into things that I, in retrospect, actually witnessed that I had no idea actually what was going on then, because I have to tell you something. The largest city that the sisters had seen was Cincinnati, Ohio. When we went to New York, we actually clung together like little chickens, and we weren't really very sophisticated. We were pretty green. I'm not excusing anything that I did. I'm not sorry, because I'm not sorry today. It was a great love, and
But there's more to come.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
You've never heard it play. Join in the big parade. All together now, 1 and 2. Join that happy throng.
Sylvia Syms, and I asked Helen, I'm going to ask you a mini bio. Just a mini. I started singing when I was...
I guess in the embryo. At least that's what it's true. I was a large embryo. I never thought of anything else. I started singing at the very, very first minute that I knew that I was going to do anything in this world. I never wanted to be anything else. I never wanted to do anything else. I never wanted to go anywhere and be any other kind of a person except to be a performer. That's when I started singing. Actually, physically, around 1938, 1939.
Whoa.
When I sneaked out of, there's been so much written about it, I sneaked out of my parents' home in Brooklyn. I used to get on the BMT subway because it only cost a nickel in those days. I was older then. And I would go to 52nd Street, which I listened and heard about on the radio. They had those remotes. And I went to 52nd Street in the summer of 1938, 1939. And there was no air conditioning, and all the doors of the places were open. And I knew that this was for me. And I have never stopped, and I have never changed. And be the good Lord willing, when my eyes close, I'll be the only one who doesn't know it. And I hope that it'll be. I hope it'll be. Thank you. Thank you.
Phyllis, if she would comment on the singers today. You turned to me and said there's something that they need. What is it?
There's a very important ingredient that's lacking in the young people today. Not just singers and entertainers, but I think they have stopped understanding that there is a relationship between a performer and the people who are watching the performance, and that's passion. They know nothing about passion, and they don't even, I mean, they're so busy doing whatever it is they're doing. They're like a hamster on a treadmill. That's not to say everybody is, but really, it's like they take a very short amount of time to make love. They take a very short amount of time to understand what a relationship is. It's let's get it on, let's get it off, and let's get it over with. And for me, from the very first time I became aware of what passion was, I wanted it to last as long as it ever could. And with all due respect to it, I hope I'm up to it for a lifetime, because I think that's really what makes... Now, you know, I teach, Sally. I have a doctorate at a university in Dallas, IASA, which is a studio for the performing arts. And I've been on the faculty for 12 years. And we get people who come to take master classes with me. It's a 3-week studio. And it's really amazing because they come in quest of their craft. They come in quest of finding what it is that they know that they're missing in their lives. And the quality of feeling when they come and they learn that the art of making love isn't something that you read about in a book or on paper. I'm going to be writing a book, you know. I'm writing a book very soon.
I'm stuck with all these writers. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, wait a minute.
Okay.
We talked about, if you could say one man in your life made you feel passionate. You had no idea I was going to ask you that.
Oh, my darling. I learned early on there was safety in numbers. No. Book. Listen, Shelley Winters is in the other. I'm writing a book about all the guys I've been to bed with, and I'm calling it, wait a minute, I'm calling it The Grateful Dead. So listen, it's a hell of a lot of good living to get to look this bad. I want to tell the world about what a wonderful time.
Did you hear what she said? She said it took a heck of a lot of living to get to look this bad. Can we know some of the names to look forward to?
No. First of all, you have to be dead to be in my book. This is the only way I won't get along.
I can't put her on the spot.
No, you can't.
That isn't going to work. I
No.
want you to talk to me about Frank Sinatra quickly.
To talk to you about Frank Sinatra, he's not one of the Grateful Dead, thank God. He is my friend. He has been my most wonderful, indefatigable friend. He has been there as a friend, as a performer that I go and watch like a child, and he comes to see me like a child. Through his wonderful marriage at this time with Barbara Sinatra, they have a great, glorious relationship, which I honor and respect. The reason that he and I have been friends for 47 years of my life and his life is because we have never gotten together to be anything more than just friends. And that's all I can tell you about.
Okay.
What a guy.
I want to do something with Sylvia that, again, she does not know I was going to do. Okay.
I don't know anything. I just
Watch
talk a
this.
lot.
Just watch this. This is probably the best example of passion. I'm not going to ask you to sing. I want you to recite, if you can remember them, the words to any song. Maybe I didn't know what time it was, because I know that's one that you sing.
Okay.
Could you just look
Sure.
at me and tell me that you didn't know what time it was?
I didn't know what time it was. Then I met you. Oh, what a lovely time it was. How sublime it was, too. I didn't know what day it was. You held my hand. Warm like the month of May it was. And I'd say it was grand. Grand to be alive, to be young, to be mad, to be yours alone. Grand to see your face. Touch your lips, hear your voice say, I'm all your own. I didn't know what year it was. Life was no prize. I wanted love. And here it was, shining out of your eyes. I'm wise, and I know what time it is now. And if you ever do that to me again, I'll...
If you couldn't do it, I wouldn't have done it. That's my
For years, the stand mixer stood alone. Same with the food processor. But Ulster brought something better to life. The kitchen center appliance. It's a stand mixer, food processor, and more. And you'll be surprised at how little it costs.
JCPenney Red Tag Sale. For 3 days, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you save an extra 30% on merchandise already marked down. For instance, pick a $28 red tag item marked down to $14. Save an extra 30%, making your red tag item just $9.80. Look for the red tags in every department and save an extra 30% for you, your home, and family. Save during our Red Tag Sale this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Kids, could you please go down to the freezer and bring up some Vandy Camps for dinner?
Sure, Mom. Vandy Camps fish. They taste fresh because they're frozen fresh. Then they're dipped in crispy breadcrumbs or golden batter for... Vandy Camps, the freshest ideas in frozen fish. Also, try our crispy microwave fish sticks and fillets.
Okay.
Maxene Anders, when we were talking about did the sisters fight, and you were teasing me, and you said no. Thumbnail sketch of the sisters. They were born?
Oh, we were all born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we started to sing when we were all very young. Patty started to sing the oldest. She was 7 when she started. But, you know, when you talk about sister. The Andrews sisters have quite a reputation as being fighters. And I think all trios do this. You see, we never learned to read music because we had a poor background and there was no money to send the kids to any place to learn anything. And so everything just sort of, we started our trio when Patty was 9 and I was 11 and Laverne was not quite 16.
Now, is your father Greek?
Yes, my father was Greek.
And you're singing by mir
bis du Shane.
Which is Yiddish.
Yes.
So all we do is take some Greek sisters and teach them Yiddish. I just love that. It's
it was
such an
very
American.
interesting about By Mir bis du Shane. There were no, before Sammy Kahn wrote the lyrics, there were no lyrics, English lyrics. So a young man by the name of Lou Levy taught us the Yiddish words phonetically. We went in and recorded it at Decca, and the other side was called Nice Work If You Can Get It. And Mr. Jack Kapp, who was the president and the founder of Decca Records, was so sure that was going to be the big hit for the Andrews sisters. At that time, we were getting $50 a record. And that was more money than we had seen in
No, wait,
some
is
time.
that's 50 each?
No. Oh, no, those days, that was 50 for the 3.
Oh.
Salaries in those days was...
How did you spend all this monumental? Were there...
I did the check went to Mama. Our parents traveled with us, and the check went to Mama, and I guess we owned, we really owed a lot of bills along the way, because you see, we spent about 6 years prior to that serving our apprenticeship and starving. And
what was the most money, Maxene, that the Andrews sisters ever made?
The most money in our day, don't faint, Phyllis. In our day, top salary was $15,000.
Did you ever get that?
Yes, but it was in Las Vegas.
$5,000 each a week?
A week.
$5,000 a week.
So when I hear what the young people are getting today, I really can't absorb it. It sounds almost vulgar to me that, you know, they can go out and get $250,000 a week or a night if they do.
People don't know a lot about the Andrews sisters during the war. The 3 sisters, tell me that story, if you will.
Well, we certainly didn't do any more than any of the other artists did. We went overseas. We spent about 3 months in North Africa. And I think we hit every little spot. If it had a store in it in Italy, we hit them all. And it was wonderful. I must tell you that in spite of the war, the 40s was probably the most creative and the happiest period that I will probably ever know.
Why?
I don't know. It was like America was, everyone was in love with each other. It was like a whole country holding hands. And everybody wanted to be, I guess everybody wanted to be happy. So we sang happy songs. And we wanted to be happy. And we had a wonderful time with the boys overseas. You know, it's only been recently that I woke up to a shock that these boys, I thought were so old. I must have been, what, about 18, 19 years old when we went over. And the boys, at that time, they were flying the planes and shooting the guns. And they were my age.
19.
You know, they were, we had a pilot who was a major in the Air Force, and he was flying those old, what do they used to call them, when they would rev up the motors. I was sure that everything, the wings, everything was going to fall off. Then their little trick was to see how fast they could get up or how close to the top of the trees they would fly. And there were no seats. You sat in the fuselage with your parachutes, and your feet would be, you'd put your feet up against if there was cargo in it, and you prayed a lot. And I figured when that was over, Sally, that my end was not going to come in a plane.
Now, of the Andrews sisters, Laverne has passed on.
Yes, Laverne passed away about, gosh, it doesn't seem that long ago. It's about 22 years, 23 years ago.
It must be hard, still.
It was very hard, and we were very, very close. We had many differences of opinions, like Phyllis was talking about in arrangements, and it was very frustrating to us because we couldn't read music, and we were called upon to make a lot of arrangements. So we spent hour after hour after hour. Our whole youth was spent at a piano learning how to make vocal arrangements for the trio.
If you were going to say one thing about your sister.
Which one?
Laverne.
Laverne, yes.
If you were going to say one thing about her, what would you say? A sentence?
A sentence. Laverne had a great sense of humor, but she was a pain in the neck.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
He was a top man at his craft, but then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
I want to ask Helen O'Connell, and sometimes we save the best for last in terms of our group, thoughts about the music of today. About MTV and the rockers, from a lady who pretty well knows a lot about music.
I don't like any of it, I'm sorry.
Really?
No, I really don't. I haven't liked rock music or anything. I know when my children used to play it. It used to amaze me. I can remember coming home. They'd see me coming. They'd say, here comes the warden, turn off all the phonographs, you know. But I asked one of them one day, I said, she was singing along with the record. I said, how do you know the words to that record? How can you understand what they're saying? She brought out the album cover. It was printed in there. She'd memorized. You know, you can't understand what they're saying. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan, I'm sorry to say.
Now, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but before Jane Pauley, before Barbara Walters, there was you. For how long were you the hostess of the Today Show?
About 2.5 years with Dave Garroway and Jack Lascoulis and Frank Blair and the Monkey. Yeah.
Any thoughts about those days to share, as opposed to television today, or just thoughts in general?
Well, it was hard work, but it was a great departure from me, and I loved it because I got to spend more time with my children. And when I was working all the time on the road singing, I couldn't spend enough time with them, so this was wonderful for me. And I worked with great people. That made it so nice. And it was, I like doing interviews.
We were doing a little mini bios of everyone. Yours was not an easy career. I mean, that must have been pretty hard. You were the support of your family?
Yes. Well, I started working when I was 13, actually, at home. I went on the road when I was 16.
16 years old, and, you know, you're on the road trying to support the family.
Well, you know, when my dad died and my older sister got married, so I was it. So I took the 2 gowns we had, and I went to this band in Fostoria, Ohio. We're both from Ohio. And showed up, and they always said, where's your sister? I said, she couldn't come, you know. So that's how I got all my work. Or if she was supposed to sing and I was supposed to dance. I started out as a dancer, teaching dancing. I couldn't dance well, but I was a good teacher. But if she wouldn't sing, I'd take the gown and go sing, and then I'd come home and she'd say, give me the money. I said, no, I sang. I get to keep the money, $5, you know.
You got $5?
Sure, a night.
You're doing almost as badly as Maxene and
I did worse. I got $15 a song for recording, and I can tell you where we spent part of it.
You got $15 a song?
For records, yes. That's all I ever got.
Where did you spend it?
Maxene and I used to eat breakfast in the Piccadilly Hotel drugstore every morning.
When the break, you only had 1 gown. You would share the gown, your sister would share the gown.
I think by the time I left home, I think I had 2, and it was too bad they were both blue. And the guy I was working for said, could you get a gown that isn't blue? I said, I haven't got any money, I guess, you know. So I left home in a cardboard hat box. All my belongings were in that hat box. So, but I got another gown eventually.
Now, becoming the singer with Jimmy Dorsey, wow.
That took a while. I was working about 3 years before I joined him.
But is that as good as it gets?
Oh, it was for me, because that was my favorite band, and Bob Everly was my favorite singer, so I couldn't ask for anything better than that. That was the top for me.
What was the best part of it? Now, don't tell me the money.
The money wasn't, no. Hardly. The work was very hard. It was rewarding. You know, I was so young. People say, was it hard? When you're young, you don't know it's hard.
Yeah.
You just go where you're supposed to go and get in the bus and get out. And I guess the best part of it was the nice feeling we had in that band. That isn't true of all bands, but Bob Eberly was such a wonderful, wonderful person and had such a fantastic sense of humor and wit. He kept the whole band up all the time, and we all got, if we hired a good musician, if Jimmy hired a good musician and he didn't fit in, he got fired whether he played the best trumpet in town or not, because we had a good group.
So being compatible was more important than being a musician.
Well, I didn't read music either. You know, that's real. Maxene and I should write a book together.
Do any of you read music? Sylvia reads music.
Do you?
Sylvia?
Read music?
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
None of you read music?
I don't read music.
Phyllis, you read music?
Yes.
One reads music out of the three.
Oh, there's a traitor.
Get out of here.
Hi, this is for Maxene and for Phyllis. I'm one of 3 sisters also, and we danced and sang through school, and I deeply admired the Andrews sisters and the McGuire sisters. But my question is, are there any brothers in either one of your lives?
No. We were just talking. We were just talking about that.
3 sisters and no brothers.
No. And I don't know how you feel, Maxene, but I always wanted a brother so badly, or another sister, because, you know, the King sisters have them lined up, and you never
that was like,
you never know what 4 you're listening to. That's right.
Or the Jacksons.
This is from Maxene. I'm 16 years old, and I love the Andrews sisters. And for the past 2 years in chorus, I have done Mr. Sandman, and I've done Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy for concerts with 2 girls and 3 other girls, and we just love you. And every year we do one song that you have done.
Honey, Mr. Sandman is the Cordette.
Please, 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 please.
Now, wait a minute. Wait, I will solve the problem. I will solve the problem. Don't sit under the apple tree.
But I'll tell you something, Sally. It's true. For a while there, people thought that the Andrews sisters introduced every song.
That's not bad. We'll take a break. That's not bad.
Dreams I seem to hold you, to find you and unfold you. Our lips meet and
Yes, sir.
We have 4 very, very talented ladies who are here with us today. If you had to offer one important piece of advice to a young singer, a young act, a young artist just starting out, what would be the one important piece of advice you would offer to someone just starting out in the business?
Let's go down the line. Helen?
Well, you have to have discipline, lots of discipline, and be willing not to want the top money the minute you start out.
Okay. Sylvia?
I think you have to care about what you're doing more than anything in the world.
So far, great
discipline.
advice. Phyllis?
And it's got to come before everything.
Phyllis?
Do summer stock, speak whenever you're asked, move with music, whether you think you're moving well or not. Just get into it and do it. If you think you can do it, you can do it.
Maxene?
To learn to love all kinds of music. If you want to be good in what you're doing, you have to appreciate all kinds of music.
Boy, you couldn't ask for anything more than advice like that. May I ask you a question, Phyllis? Do you have an Eiffel Tower in your living room?
Of course she does.
Yes.
Why do you... How big is your Eiffel Tower?
It's quite tall.
Well, I mean, like, how big?
Well, it's really, really very high, and it goes through the roof, and it's very tall. It's a replica of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, but actually it's an entrance to my French room, because I collect French antique furniture.
Now, you have a house that has 26,000 square feet.
At least.
You have your own beauty parlor in your own home.
Yes.
And some other things also? That are unusual, such as? Swans?
Swans, black-necked swans, mute swans.
And they're walking around the house?
No, there's a swan pond.
There's a swan pond. Could you tell me something more about the house? Well, 26,000 square feet, an Eiffel Tower, and a swan pond.
Well, you should come. Why don't you bring the show to Las Vegas sometime, and the show can originate there.
You could probably fit us all into your house?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no problem.
How many bedrooms are there in this house?
It's quite a few.
How many people does it take to take care of the house? How many in help?
20-some.
20-some? You are not being paid her salary. I mean, obviously something happened here with the salary.
No, I'll tell you, we happened at a time when those salaries started zooming.
That's right.
Maxine knows that. And, I mean, I don't think performers are worth what they're being paid today. I don't think we were worth what we were paid then.
But it sure is fun to have the house.
But we took it.
Sylvia, you seem to love life really a lot. Can you tell us what your secret is?
Who?
You.
Sylvia.
Secret to loving life.
You just seem so full of life, and you just seem to love what you do.
I am in love with what I do.
Tell us what your secret
and
is.
I am full of life.
Well, what's your secret?
And I'll tell you, I've got something to tell you that I think. You see this? You see how bruised I am?
Yeah, what
and how
happened to
beat
you?
up I am?
A guy.
On August the 8th. Are you kidding? At least I would have gotten a chance to hit back. On August the 8th, I did a concert at Alice Tully Hall with Benny Carter. And I had come out of the hairdresser, and I was on my way to get into a car to go to Alice Tully Hall to do my rehearsal. And as I got out into the street, a car backed up and knocked me down and knocked me over to my right side and beat me. Look at my hand still after all this time. My hand looked like I punched Leon Spinks in the mouth. My face, I was bleeding. I was a mess. They called the ambulance and they called the police, and the ambulance came and said, "We're going to take you to the hospital, make sure nothing is broken." I said, "You can't do that. I'm on stage at Alice Tully Hall in 15 minutes. And the guy looked at me and said, "What?" And I said, "Yes, I'm sorry, I can't miss the rehearsal."
So
and
the
I
ambulance
and I went
took
and
you
I did
to the
it,
theater.
and I sat there all day, and I had the people come and bring my clothes. That's what you owe to your craft if you really want to do it. And I'm full of life, you bet, because I'm the luckiest horse in the race.
We'll take a break and be right back.
First time I looked into them there eyes, you got a certain cute way of flirting.
I'm the world's biggest skeptic. Then
I think it's important to say that our guests, all of you still sing, correct?
Yes, yes.
Helen, the big band era is not dead?
Oh, no, it's very much alive. I'm still working with lots of big bands and with 4 Girls 4 and just very active.
And Sylvia, you're singing, I know.
I'm doing an album with Michael Renzi and Helen Keane producing it, and it'll be out at the middle of September.
'Cause I
and
go to
it's
see you
fabulous,
sing.
and I work all the time, and I do concerts, and everybody wants me, and everybody gets me.
Phyllis, are you singing?
Yes, I open in Reno tomorrow night for 2 weeks, and the greatest hits of the McGuire sisters is now out on compact discs, MCA, and then we work at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco.
They'll be there.
Maxine, working?
I do concerts all over the world.
There you go. Everybody is good.
Looking good.
Yes, I wanted to know in your heyday when you planned to take time off and how long these vacations were when you were really busy. Did you work for a long time without vacations?
Who?
All of you. Did you get
We never
time
took a
off?
vacation.
You haven't got time for a vacation. You work when you get a job offer is what
That's
you do.
true.
So there
You
was
did-
no such thing as
Sally,
taking
you
time.
did 5 and 6 shows a day in the theater.
I did 9. I did 9 with Martin and Lewis.
Sally, you were
dare
talking
you.
about the Godfrey days. We went 7 years without a vacation.
Sure.
Honestly.
One time I got a vacation as if I had to have my tonsils out or something.
I don't want you to say that to anybody who's listening, like in our production staff.
Yes, earlier, Phyllis, you had mentioned something about McGuire Air Force Base, and I was curious just to find out about how you and your sisters did get started in the entertainment business.
We started singing in church, where our mother was an ordained minister, and Chris played piano, Dorothy played organ, and I used to direct the singing. And the first nightclub we were ever in, we were performing in it. So it was really quite a transition for us.
My remark is to all 4 of you. I'm very happy to be here today, and I have tons of your records home that I play concerts with.
Good. You're the one.
I
just want to say that you all look absolutely lovely, and I would like to ask Helen, today women are trying to do it all. How did you work, have a family, still look so beautiful, and have such a wonderful life? How'd you do it all?
That isn't easy, and it wasn't something I wanted to do. I retired once to have children. I have 4 daughters. And when I had to go back to work, it was not what I wanted to do, and it's not easy to do, and I wouldn't advise anyone to do it if they didn't have to.
Let's talk about bodies. You tease yourself so much about your body.
I don't tease myself so much about my body. I'm stating a fact. What do you want me to do? Honey, every time I look in the mirror, I see me, not Audrey Hepburn. I don't tease me at all. When I come out on that stage, I'm sultry, gorgeous, I told you. But my job is to make the people in the audience touch each other, hold hands, appreciate each other. I mood music, you said that. And it's the most gorgeous relationship you can have with a lover, because you never find out whether he was lousy or great.
You know, the problem is I cannot improve on that. I would like to thank all of you for your lifetime of making my life more romantic and brighter. We're going to come back in a minute with a very special message.
Thank you for having us.
For free tickets to the Sally Jessy Raphael Show, write Sally Jessy Raphael, Post Office Box 1400, Radio City Station, New York, New York 10101. Please include your name, address, and phone number and number of tickets.
Okay, Jerry, try it one more time.
For a transcript of this program, send $3 to Transcripts, Sally Jessy Raphael, 267 Broadway, New York, New York 10007, or call 212-227-READ. For those of you who don't know, today is our last day of broadcasting from our home, which is here at WTNH in New Haven, Connecticut. On Monday, we are going to begin broadcasting from our new studio, which is in New York City. Now, we have been here happily for the last 2 years. And before closing this show, I would like to say something on behalf of all of us that are connected with our program. The management and the crew here at Channel 8 have really bent over backwards to accommodate a show like ours. And I really have to admit to you that our requests were not always the easiest to facilitate. We never heard anyone here say, no, we can't do that. We simply heard, well, we'll give it our best shot. And that they always did. So to the audiences that have come through our doors here in Connecticut, you have given us confidence and you have made us feel darn good about ourselves. So to all of you here in Connecticut, we thank you for supporting us, for challenging us, for forcing us to take a look at ourselves very critically. We're not the kind of people who are real good at saying goodbye, especially me. And I would just like to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You have given me more than you can ever imagine. See you in New York.
Some members of our audience will receive, and a promotional fee has been provided by...
Discover a soft as ever there was, with new Ultra Soft Snuggle Fabric Softener. It's so much softer to the touch, kids can't bear to be without it.
Prototype perms, so long. Monstrous commitments, goodbye. Between perm droops, farewell. With epic ways, you'll learn to perm fearlessly.
Yes, I am the muffin man. Now I am the butter man.
Imperial. Only our taste deserves the crown.
ticklish, too. All right, get up, Leonard. What are you going to look for?